Many of you have been asking me about my thoughts on the Neo Geo AES Plus announcement. So let's go ahead and talk about it in some detail today here with you on the channel. Now, for those of you who are not aware, Plaion Replai and SNK have announced the Neo Geo AES Plus, which launches on the 12th of November 2026. Now, this unit is said to be a recreation of the original Neo Geo AES, which I have one of these right here, which released in 1990. Now, what makes this announcement so exciting is for a few reasons. The Neo Geo was marketed as the first 24-bit home system, which is a little bit misleading, or a little bit of marketing fluff, I guess, because the CPU was actually running a 16-bit 68000 with a Z80 code processor. But the GPU chipset itself is a 24-bit graphics data bus, so that's where it gets the 24-bit kind of marketing term around it. But everyone can agree that the Neo Geo is a very powerful system when it released, more so than any other home console at the time. The AES home console used 99% the exact same hardware as its arcade equivalent, the MVS, which was unheard of at the time. Now, if you recall, back in the day, there were some very good home ports of various arcade games to, say, the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, but we're talking the exact same game code running on the exact same hardware. The only difference is the cartridge format was different. So with Neo Geo, you were truly bringing the arcade to your home, and as a result, you had to pay for the privilege. The Neo Geo home console, the AES system, was very expensive back then. It was a niche system. It retailed for about $700, and the accessories and games were even more expensive. Like, you could be easily in a few $1,000s just by picking up the system, a bunch of games, and a couple of controllers. This was a niche market that intersected console gaming with arcade gaming in the home living room, and as a result, many Neo Geo AES games from back in the day are ending up on reseller markets like eBay, and they literally sell for thousands of dollars. Now, as you can see here, I have a small but decent collection of AES cartridges, including my favorite, which is a flash card. So many people missed out on the Neo Geo back in the day, but SNK have brought the Neo Geo brand to modern audiences over many years, starting with the Neo Geo X in 2010, which was an interesting hybrid handheld device that had a great concept, but it was let down by poor emulation. And I ended up pre-ordering one of these back in the day, just like many of us, and I was very disappointed at what the final product ended up being. It ended up just being a cheap emulation device that ran FB Alpha. Then in 2018, during the mini console craze, if you guys remember that, during the days of the NES Mini, the NES Classic, the Super NES Classic, all the mini consoles, SNK also jumped in with the Neo Geo Mini, and this was a small system that resembled one of those baby blue Neo Geo MVS Japanese cabinets, and this had like 20 games on there as well, or something like that. In 2019, we saw the announcement and the release of the Arcade Stick Pro, which was a white arcade stick with 20 Neo Geo games built in, which plugged directly into your television via HDMI. This was another emulation device. So there has been a little bit of skepticism and concern about what the Neo Geo AES Plus is, and rightfully so. And this is because the Neo Geo name has been kind of diluted over the years. It doesn't really mean the same thing it once did, right? But this is where things get interesting, because the Neo Geo AES Plus hardware is said to be a full recreation of the original AES hardware that doesn't use any emulation. Instead, it uses ASIC chips. Now, this is an original Neo Geo AES, and I've featured this on some of my videos in the past, right? But look at this monster. This thing is absolutely massive. This is the cartridge port for the games, and you've got your various connectors here on the back here. But this is a beast of a system compared to the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis of the era. What Plaion is saying is that they're recreating this system in its entirety with the exact same form factor, the exact same everything. So that is a kind of a big deal to say, right? Now, according to Plaion, they say that the SNK Neo Geo AES Plus offers a wholly authentic experience for both hardware and software, looking, feeling, and playing just as you remember. No emulation, no compromise, no comparison. The machine is powered by newly manufactured chips based on the original. What you're essentially saying here is that this system is going to be one-to-one exact, and people are going to really put this system through its paces, not only from a software perspective and testing games and comparing games between one another, but also the hardware. You're saying that there is no compromise, everything is looking and feeling the way that you remember. People are going to judge you based on the plastic that's being used on the case. Things like the joysticks, right? The controllers, the ball tops, the way that they feel, the way that they click, all that stuff is going to be scrutinized. But let's kind of move on. Gameplay on the Neo Geo AES Plus is not achieved through emulation. Instead, the console is powered by its legacy ASIC chips, re-engineered by modern standards to accurately replicate the original machine's hardware and software. The system natively plays game software from both new and old game cartridges for the most authentic retro gaming experience. Not emulation, not FPGA approximation, but true console reincarnation etched back into the silicon. Now, the Neo Geo AES Plus retails for $250 for the base system and a Neo Geo AES style controller. That alone, compared to what you would pay back in the day for an original AES system in good condition and a controller, is a bargain. I will tell you, this system that I own here, I bought this many, many years ago, and I paid more than $250 for it. I think I paid $350 for the console, a controller, as well as maybe one of the cheaper games that came with the Neo Geo AES. But I paid like $350 for it. So $250 for a base system and the controller is an absolute steal. And I think this is one of the reasons why many people are very excited about this announcement and jumped on a pre-order for it. Not only this, it uses the exact same cartridge format as the original AES. And original AES games, like the stack that I've got here as mentioned, are said to be fully compatible with the AES Plus, which means that I can take my existing game library and including my flash cartridge, and hopefully flash cartridges do work on the AES Plus. If they don't, then I'm going to call out that marketing, because it's not going to be a full recreation of the original hardware. So this flash cartridge better work on the AES Plus, otherwise you'll hear about it in my review Plaion when the time comes. But it's said to be fully, you can bring your old games to the AES Plus, which is awesome. And I think a lot of collectors and a lot of people that are already invested in the AES will love that, because we don't have to necessarily buy all the new games that have been announced for the system, which I'll get to here shortly. But the opposite is also true. The new AES Plus games are said to be fully backward compatible with original hardware. And this also applies to hardware as well. So the new announced controllers, the Neo Geo AES style controller and the joypad controller, they can also be used on original hardware. So there's a lot of kind of back and forth between the original stuff and the new stuff, which is a really cool thing. What's also cool about this is that 10 games have been announced initially for the launch of the AES Plus, including some of the very best that the Neo Geo has to offer, including Metal Slug, Neo Turf Masters, Garou Mark of the Wolves, games that I might add are literally selling for thousands on eBay, and at just $89 for, I think it's $89.99 in the US for these games, which look to be exact one-to-one reprints of the original games, complete with the packaging, manuals, the case. Like, you get these really cool, some of the later Neo Geo games, you get these really cool snap lock cases as well, which just make the product look so awesome. This is something that really is getting a lot of people excited, right? That it's kind of bringing back, or bringing the AES to a new generation. And this even includes things like different, region cover art, right? And, the Japanese style cover art and the international cover art. Now, there's also some additional features of the Neo Geo AES Plus that we want to talk about. Of course, it has HDMI video output, but there's also the inclusion of RGB analog video output, despite some initial concerns that it wouldn't come with. So what they're basically telling us is that this port right here, that's on the original AES, the RGB analog out, will be a part of the AES Plus, which is cool, right? So it means that we can not only connect the unit up via HDMI to modern displays, we can also connect it up to RGB, as well onto old school CRTs. Now, what's going to be interesting is to see if you can do both of those at the same time, or you can only have one or the other. Along with this, there's replicas of the original arcade sticks, gamepads, the memory card accessories, and all of these are said to be fully backward compatible with the original AES. We also mentioned the 10 re-released AES games that are coming out: Metal Slug, King of the Fighters 2002, Garou, Turf Masters, Shock Troopers, Twinkle Star Sprites, Polestar, Magician Lord, Overtop, Samurai Showdown 5 Special. These are some excellent SNK Neo Geo games, and some of the very best, but the Neo Geo also has a library of some really incredible games, so I'd like to see more that get announced, and I think we will with the initial excitement and a lot of pre-orders of the AES Plus. I think Plaion Replay is very much thinking about what's next for this system. But we still need to see the system coming out, right? We still need to see the system in action. We've only seen a lot of marketing, a lot of, early kind of looks at the system, and that's where I come in. So I'll be picking up an AES Plus, and I'll definitely be putting it through its paces. We're going to be doing comparisons between the original stuff here and the new stuff. We're going to be testing games back and forth, making sure that the claims that this is a fully one-to-one, recreation of the original system in all its glory is true. I have some questions about things like multi-carts, because multi-carts always have, it seems like they always have issues, at least initially. As long as the system is firmware updatable, I think it's going to be fine. I also have questions about some of these aftermarket cartridges that will potentially may or may not run on the AES Plus. Hopefully it will. This is Xenocrisis by the Bitmap Bureau. And that's the other thing. There's going to be a lot of excitement about the AES Plus, because it also means that people that are making AES games, there are still companies out there that design and develop Neo Geo AES games. It's very niche, but they'll have an opportunity for their games to be showcased on more modern hardware, which is very, very exciting, right? It may kind of see a kickstart or a resurgence in AES games that come out as well. So this is a very exciting announcement. I think if all the information is true and all the kind of marketing around this product is true, the price is excellent. I think they've really kind of priced it at the right amount, especially in 2026, where the cost of everything is so expensive. Coming in at $250, I think is a really good price point. But we're going to kind of save the rest for the video. So expect a video from me when the time comes. I'll definitely be checking this out. As mentioned, there's going to be, no nonsense around this one. We're going to just test the system out, compare it with the original hardware, and see what this thing is really all about. But we're going to leave it here for today's episode. Let me know what you think about the AES Plus announcement. Have you pre-ordered one? Are you on the fence about it? I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comments below, but we're going to leave it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this episode, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.